What's going on, everyone? It's Eric. Welcome to the video. I got a question. I've been out of town, and while I was gone, I got a question. I thought it was a really good question, actually, about the guy is buying his first truck, and he was looking for some websites that I would recommend for that. But I'm just going to go into, if I was buying my first truck again, what I would be looking for and the different situations that you could be in buying a truck. So I'm going to be looking at some notes, which I'm not really good at glancing back and forth and staying in stride, but just bear with me. I think it'll be the best way to do it. So to answer the specific question of websites that I frequent like all the time, like I'm addicted to, would be Truck Paper and Craigslist. I'm not too savvy with Facebook, and I hear that that's a really good way to go as well, in the marketplace section. These two sites, I've bought things off of Craigslist and off of Truck Paper, and it seems like on Truck Paper people are more motivated to sell, and then on Craigslist people are more, they'll throw it out there for a high price and see if they can get it. So strategies, the reason that I frequent them is because on Craigslist, if something is a good deal and that's what you're looking for, it's going to be gone fast if it's a good deal. But if it's not a good deal, it's going to sit on there for months. And there's a couple ways you can do it. I mean, so just, like in real estate, how they call it like comps, to always kind of know what things are worth, you always kind of have to be looking. So like if you're gonna buy your very first truck, don't get too crazy about the first truck you see. Just look, take your time and look for months so that you know what is a good truck and what isn't a good truck, and as far as the price goes. So so Craigslist and Truck Paper, I would not recommend going to an auction site. I'm not really excited about auction sites for buying trucks. I like auction sites and have bought equipment from auctions sites, but in the local area, but it's been trailers. I've had really good luck with trailers. Everybody that I know that kind of wants to make themselves feel like they're a good person, they don't want to sell a bad truck to somebody they know, or even on Craigslist. They're willing to sell it at an auction site. So just, if you know what I mean, if you're gonna go to an auction site, more than likely they're getting rid of that truck at an auction because it's a piece of junk and they don't want to sell it to somebody they know, so they can just walk away from it and sell it that way. So I would never buy a truck at an auction site, except for if it's a fleet company that's getting rid of a crap ton of trucks. And if that's the case, I think it's a great idea, because they're kind of like saturating the market, and there's a lot of trucks there, and you can kind of pick, take your pick of the trucks, and more than likely there's going to be more trucks there than people are going to want to buy, so you're going to get some better pricing. And and they're not getting rid of the truck because of an issue. I mean, they could be. I mean, they could have max force engines and they're just getting rid of them, but everybody knows about max force engines and they're junk. But just an example of whatever else it could be. If you don't know about max force engines, you don't want a max force engine, which is an international specific truck or engine in trucks. But so that's the websites. I think there's Auction Time, which must be owned by Truck Paper, and then also which I've never bought anything from them, but who I really like is Ritchie Brothers, which is, I think it's rbauctions.com, but if you Google Ritchie Brothers, it'll come up. Love that. I mean, I bought stuff from them, and I like, it's just whatever. They have good prices on things from time to time. So that's kind of the websites that I would go into, but I think this is like something huge to talk about. So when you're buying, let me see here. So when I bought my first truck, I bought it with my father-in-law. We used to be in business together, and when we bought it, my uncle used to be in trucking. He's now retired, and he told me at the time to buy the cheapest, the truck, the most expensive truck that I could afford, with the least amount of miles. That was the newest, which I think was really good advice. But if I look back at basically what that means is, you're looking for a Freightliner, a Sterling, a Volvo. You're not looking for a Kenworth. You're not looking for a Peterbilt, because those trucks hold their value more. And you, as an owner operator, they're not going to pay you any more to drive those. And he didn't specifically say that, but if you just, I mean, that's pretty much what I would, if I was going to give you guys advice on it, which I am, that's what I would say. Stay away from Peterbilt, stay away from Kenworths, and go towards like the lower end models of trucks, which they're not lower end in the fact that they're not reliable. They're gonna be just as reliable, if not more reliable, but they're not gonna be as fancy, they're not gonna ride as nice, they're not gonna be as quiet. So as an owner operator, those are things you're gonna deal with and sacrifice for, to have a reliable truck that's gonna last a long time for you. So, but the only thing that I would say is, when I started trucking, it was before all the emissions that we're having problems with now, with the DEF and the filters and all that stuff. So now I don't exactly know what the right answer is with that, but I will say that across the board, all the trucks are having those issues. So it still probably holds true with that. So that's what I want to say about that. What I want to talk about is, if you guys are financing, it depends on, what I want to talk about basically is buying your first truck, how important it is to basically not have any problems for a while. And that's not going to be always the case, and you could have a run of bad luck, but you're not looking for a deal, you're looking for a truck that you don't need to throw money into, unless you have a whole crap ton of money set aside. Because the problem is that, let's say you save for 2 years to buy a truck. Well, let's say you're leased on to a company and they pay you every 2 weeks. So, and you have a problem right away, or let's say you're finding a deal on something, but to get a DOT that needs some work. Well, you really can't afford to do any work to that truck. I mean, money just flies out as a truck driver, right? If you are trying to pay for trucking expenses on a 9-to-5 job type of budget, you're gonna go broke really fast. And the best case scenario is you're gonna lease on with somebody as an owner operator, and you're gonna basically get paid every 2 weeks, and then you're just setting yourself up for failure if you think you're getting a deal on a truck, but then you have to do a bunch of stuff to it before you get a DOT. Just get something or get it all wrapped into the loan, ready to go DOT'd. So I would recommend that. If you have, let's say you're gonna buy a $20,000 truck and you have like 25 grand, what I would personally do is I would get the longest loan possible. A lot of owner operators, and they want to pay their truck off. They feel like that's the way to go, which I like that. I like it. I like paying. My strategy is I like to have paid off trucks, and then I'll go out and finance trailers, because trucks depreciate a lot faster than trailers. So that's just what I like to do. I don't exactly always do it that way, but that's just what I like to do. And I mostly run local as well, so I don't need as nice of trucks. Basically, get yourself, this is all opinion, right? This is my opinion, but what I like is get yourself So let's say you have $25,000, you're gonna buy a $20,000 truck, and you have all these different options. You can buy the truck cash, you can go to the bank, you can get a loan. You can put, you know, 10% down, you can put 50% down, you can manipulate it any way you want. But what I would recommend doing is, if you have $25,000, I would go to the bank, I would get a loan with the bank, and I would take as many years to pay that truck back as they will allow. So let's say, you know, a $20,000 truck, banks don't like old equipment unless they understand trucking, which more than likely they don't understand trucking. So they're gonna think it's really risky because they look at it like a car, and the cars go down in value and they're pretty much worth nothing after a few years. So they're not going to want to give you like a super long loan. So they'll probably do like a 2-year, maybe a 3-year loan. But let's say they'll do a 5. Like I said, most owner operators are really into paying their truck off as soon as possible. So this is what I would tell you to do. Let's say they'll give you a 5-year loan, and they'll only require you to do like 5% down, which is more than likely not going to, none of this stuff's going to happen. But what I'm saying is, go for the least amount of money out of your pocket and push the payments back as far as you can. So what it's probably going to be is, it's probably going to be 20% down of $20,000. So you got, I think that's $4,000, and then it'll be like a 2-year loan and whatever the payment is on that. But the lowest payment you can possibly get, so pushing those the payments back, and then keeping as much cash in your pocket. And the reason that you want to do that is because that'll set you up the right way, so that you can keep, like, because 20 grand will go, like that money will go so fast. So, and most people don't start with $20,000 in their bank anyways, but you know, when you're spending, basically it'll set you up to be in business for indefinitely. So you'll get money rolling in, and then when you start making those payments, and then basically, if you want to pay your truck off, let's say you get a 5-year loan, you want to pay it off in half the time, then just figure out what that's going to take. Start doing double payments, you know. But then if money gets tight, then you don't have to do double payments, and just do your normal payment, and it's really cheap. And then or just save up your money, get a bunch of money in the bank, and then just keep it there, and then you can basically, what you basically will do is, you could just pay your truck off once you're safe and you feel like you have enough money. But what I'm basically doing is, I'm giving yourself time to mature as a business. And I've made the mistake lots of times of thinking I was in a better spot than I was, buying something cash, and then all of a sudden not having cash, or one of my clients is slow to pay, and then my mortgage payments due, and I had to borrow money from a family member because I had all this money coming in, and I had tons of credit. I have lots of cash, or credit card, like you know, line of credit, but I mean, I can't pay my mortgage with that. So I kind of learned my lesson the hard way on that. But luckily I had a family member that was able to help me out. But cash is really king, and it's negotiating power for lots of things. And most of the time, if you have that money, the bank will work with you a lot more than if you don't. So let's see here. I think that was it. Cash versus financing. So basically, I think what I touched on was websites I use to buy trucks as an owner operator, or just as a fleet owner, that I look at, that I'd recommend that if you're buying your first truck, you look at. Kind of, and a couple things that I look for in a truck, and the importance of buying your truck buying a good truck the first time, and then from there, financing versus buying, how I look at it. And then what I want to do is just give you a little bonus tip on, if you are an owner operator, is totally different than being a fleet owner. So as a fleet owner, I am trying to get away from some of the more cheaper trucks because I feel like it helps find drivers. I'm not saying it's the magic pill, but I feel like the better trucks, the nicer trucks. Sorry, I got a phone call. So I'll wrap this up. Basically, once you start getting drivers, if that's what you want to do, they're not going to want to drive in, let's say, something that's rattling around a lot, and you know, it's a different mindset. But when you're an owner operator, and let's say you want to get ahead in life, it's not all about the flash for you, it's more about the cash for you. The way to go is definitely a truck that maybe the interior isn't as nice, maybe it's a little more noisy, but it's a solid truck. And I guess that's kind of what I mean. But I mean, I'm not trying to say that Freightliners, I mean, they just are. I mean, I'm all about profitability in trucks like that, but I have a 1990 freaking 8 T800, and it doesn't rattle. It's got, I don't even know how many miles it has on it, but a lot, like probably close to 2 million miles. The sucker just doesn't break down, and it doesn't, it's smooth, it rides better, and the dash isn't all shitty. I mean, I'm so pissed off about how Freightliners, they're bullshit inside their trucks, and I'm swearing because it's really just unbelievable how crappy they are that way. And now, you know, like the higher end Freightliners, and now they're making them a little better. But like I said, I've got a 98. There's no problems with the dash at all. And you get like I got like 2006 and 7s, and even, you know, it doesn't matter. A newer Freightliner, they take the dash apart one time and it's just garbage. So they're just made better. So anyways, hope that helped. Thanks, bye.